I've always loved musical instruments. I've always loved how they work, what makes good ones and bad ones. I love the acoustic property of wood. Wood is an amazing thing, and wood makes two different pieces of wood are two different personalities, and I've always loved that. And the fact that bow making, I mean, the reason bow making is so fascinating to me is that the project is quicker to complete. You can do a bow. I do a bow every 2 weeks, and so every 2 weeks I've got a different piece of wood with a different personality and a different set of variables, and so I get a new experience every 2 weeks. Every bow is a puzzle. Every bow is a new personality, and I love puzzles. Mm-hmm. And so it was perfect for me. There are very few books on bows, and if you really want to find out about bows, you go to a place where there are a lot of bows, and you set up a repair business that gets, traffic. I went to New York basically for bow graduate school, and you don't get it any other way. You can't figure out how to make a great bow unless you know what a great bow is, and you can't understand that without being exposed to a lot of great bows. I, flew there with a suitcase, and 15 years later I flew back, and now I'm making bows as fast as I can before it's over. I have a love affair with this wood. This wood is like no other. Before people used Pernambuco, they were using snakewood and ironwoods, a few varieties of ironwoods. But as music evolved and the demands got more sophisticated and complicated on bows and violins, as music evolved, the bows made from these denser and heavier woods got to be, the bows were too slow. They just couldn't keep up with the increasing demand of articulation and speed. And around 1770, 1780, some enterprising bowmaker went down to the docks and was looking around for another wood that would do something more than snakewood and ironwood. And they figured out that Pernambuco was a fantastic wood to do that. And at that point, everyone one at a time shifted off to Pernambuco, and it's been Pernambuco ever since. Yeah, I think you just have to work with them, and I think the more you work with the wood, the more you realize just how unique it is. It's just its ability to transmit sound or energy is unique. It's really unique. You can just hear that it's a cacophony of sound, and yet three distinct pitches. They're almost like reeds, and they have a particular frequency. You can tell, the note that they are. I can look at this bench and know that this is going to be a bow that's dark and complex in sound and ringing. This bow is going to be brighter and open and more focused. At a certain point, the relationship between the weight and the strength will tell you whether it's going to be a violin, viola, or cello bow. The rest of my wood is in a bank vault because, in fact, they're now worth, because they're so rare, they're becoming very valuable. And for the last 5 years, I've actually paid somewhere between $150 and $200 each for them. And so every stick I own at this point is worth somewhere between $200 and $500 each, just because it's now almost impossible to get. I've been lucky enough to establish enough wood to get through my lifetime. But if I were a young up-and-coming bowmaker now, there'd be some real concern that simply to get material.
A bow is more important than most people think. A lot of people go straight to the instrument. They say, oh, I need a really good fiddle or this or that. And the more I've played and the more I've been around good players that have good bows and good instruments, I've realized that the bow is actually, in my opinion, more important in a lot of ways, because that's where you're creating the sound from. Without a bow, you can't really create a tone.
You know, the bow is really the extent. It's sort of the extension of the mind and the extension of the soul. It's the extension of it's the way in which you direct your musical intention.
You know, a lot of times I'll be in a lesson and I'll demonstrate on their instrument, but a lot of times I'll just use my bow because I had it in my hand, and I'll be like, wait, how are you making that sound? I'm like, oh wait, give me your bow, because it makes a difference. It really makes a big difference.
I mean, this is a musician's paintbrush, so it's incredibly important.